I had a one-night stand with my mother. And before you go crazy on me, let's rewind a bit so I can give you some history behind this little love affair. I'm the only child of a U.S. soldier and a bombshell of a lady from Vietnam. His name Gary, her name Liu. It was a classic story of soldier meets beautiful Asian lady. An Asian lady says, $5, love you long time. Little did he know that little $5 she spent was well worth the return. They fell madly in love, and after his tour in Vietnam, he flew back and asked her hand in marriage. 4 years later came Michael Eugene Thompson, me. From early childhood, there was so much expected of me, and I was going to grow up and do great things, said my dad. I was in sports, all kind of academia, church, and developed a huge group of friends. I was one of those cool kids back in my day, but even though I had everything going for me, deep down I was struggling, as most kids do at some point. There was another part of me that wanted to be free and couldn't figure out what it was. I was 8 when it became clear. Picture this, if you will. Banana in hand is a microphone, prancing around the living room in my mom's long flowing nightgown. Donna Summer's Last Dance spinning on the record player, and yours truly lip syncing my little heart out. If you haven't figured it out yet, all signs point towards me being gay, but to my mom and my relatives, I was just a kid having fun. That is, until my dad walked in and saw me. The look on his face was unforgettable. His eyes were full of shame and disgust as he turned and stormed out the room. For years after, I hid in the little closet I created for myself. Outwardly, I was perky, playful, and content, but inside I continued to feel unhappy, confused, and at times suicidal. When my friends started dating, he hassled me about not having a girlfriend. And one evening it came to this. So, why is it that all your friends have a girlfriend and you don't, Michael? I replied, why do you think I need a girlfriend? Don't you want me to focus on school and church and, grow up to do great things? Well, Michael, don't you think that would include a wife and kids someday? Dad, I'm in high school. I don't want or need a girlfriend right now. In all hesitation, he looked at me and says, you better not be a faggot! With my heart beating, emotions flaring, hands trembling, I muttered the words, I'm not. And then I turned and slammed the door in my proverbial closet. It was conversations like these that eventually started a broken record in my head. I'm not normal. He won't approve. He doesn't love me. Outside of myself, there was a constant tension in my house, and happiness was a rarity. Mom and Dad seemed to always be annoyed, angry, or sad, and I guess it was because we're all good at keeping silent when it came to things that mattered. The silence was broken when my father chose to kill himself. I was 16 when my neighbor and I found him in the garage with the car running. We pulled him out and tried to breathe life into him, but pale as can be and solid as rock, he gave back nothing. He was gone. This was the first time I experienced death. I was filled with every emotion imaginable, and I was surprised that the emotions included happiness. I was happy because I was free from him and his hold on my life. With my father gone, I assumed the role of being the man of the house and took on all the things my father did. I took care of the house and cars, bought groceries, did taxes, helped pay the bills, and made sure my mother was healthy and taken care of. She was all I had when it came to family, and we got real close. I gave her almost everything I could at the time, but what I could not give her was the honesty of who I was and I was truly thinking or feeling. I continued life as normal, but the next 7 years in the closet were the darkest years of my life. I internalized the same pressures of success and family for my mom. I couldn't help but play that damn broken record. I'm not normal. She won't approve. She won't love me. On January 4, 2002, I was 23 and I had just moved home from college. It was my childhood, and I was in my childhood room unpacking my belongings, listening to music, looking at old pictures of my family together, happy. For years, I had not shed a tear over my father's death, the exhausting task of taking care of my mom, especially that darkness that I lived in. Right then, these years of images and words flooded my head, and I cried my little heart out. My mother came to her room to see what happened. She sat beside me, and in her broken English, she goes, Michael, what wrong? What happened to you? With a shrug of my shoulders, I said I was just sad. School's over. As most mothers do, her instinct kicked in, and she knew it was much deeper than that. She grabbed my hand, and she looked into my eyes, and she said, "It's okay, Michael. You can tell Mommy the truth." With emotions running wild, I held her hand and looked up at her. I could no longer stand it. I couldn't cry anymore, and no amount of prayer could help me out of the depth that I was in. So in climactic fashion, I kicked down my closet, and I said, "And I'm gay!" Without hesitation, she replied, "Michael, are you sure?" "Oh my God, Mom, I'm crying my ass off. There's tissue everywhere. I got snot hanging out my nose, and you asked me if I'm sure?" "Yes, Mom, I'm gay." The weight immediately fell off my shoulders, and now she was bearing some of the weight from the revelation that I was gay. We sat for a few minutes in silence to calm our hearts, and then proceeded a game of 20 questions, which started off with, "When did I know?" You remember when I was singing in that dress? "Oh, Mommy, remember? Daddy gets so mad when he see you act like a little girl. He don't talk to Mommy for 2 days. I think you're gay, but I'm not sure. You look so happy singing a song with Banana." As the night went on, we continued about the conversation about my father. I was going to tell her the relatives, my worries and fears, and eventually my hopes and dreams. This impromptu tryst of sorts was a huge relief because I was able to speak freely and honestly after not being able to for so long. It was running 2 a.m. when my mom finally asked what motivated me to come out, and I shared this quote by Oscar Wilde that goes, "To love oneself is the beginning of a lifelong romance." After explaining what that meant, 3 beautiful words came from her mouth. "I love you." It was the first time in a long time she said that, and it felt incredible to know that I had her love and support. Since then, my life has been what I've dreamt it to be and much more. I feel happy and free to be who I am. I've made many wonderful friends, and now have a wonderful man in my life who loves and supports me. I can say I've grown up to do great things that my parents wanted me to. It began that one time when I chose that one night to stand and love myself.
Yes.